People have said, hey, Bitcoin is the answer to those problems. Are you a believer?
Well, Bitcoin is exciting because it shows how cheap it can be.
Hey everybody, Matty here with Altcoin Buzz. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're having a great one. For the second day in a row, we are discussing some rather difficult market conditions and some of the price retracements that we've seen, not only in the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, but beyond. Of course, we talked about the production war in oil yesterday between Saudi Arabia and Russia. Of course, coronavirus is continuing to bring market numbers down, and we've seen that on Wall Street. We've seen that pretty much across every sector. We'll discuss that. We'll discuss some other stuff as well. And we'll ask the question, is Bitcoin really something that you can still consider a safe haven asset here on Forbes.com? If you like this kind of blockchain and cryptocurrency content, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and stay tuned to the end of this video for information on how you can participate in our weekly giveaway of a CryptoTag Zeus starter kit. Let's kick things off here on CoinMarketCap.com. $225 billion right now. Projects down not quite as much today as they were yesterday, but still down a percentage point or two or three. Bitcoin slipping 0.42% in these last 24 hours with a price right now below 8K at the time of this recording. Bitcoin sits at $7,911. Dominance, however, is rising 64.1%. Altcoin Buzz IO tweeting just recently, Bitcoin's cost of production is about to be doubled. Countries are printing a lot of money. Do the math and figure out if this dip is a massive opportunity or not. We discussed this yesterday, not financial advice, of course, but with the halving coming up and with the context of everything that is happening right now in the market, sometimes I ask myself whether or not the opportunity of the halving is being spoiled by some of the other global events that are unfolding. The more I think of it personally, the more I think the opportunity is amplified. And that is not financial advice. As you guys know, I don't give out financial advice, but if people are spooked enough to give me an opportunity to buy more on the dip, just personally speaking, in terms of my personal plans, again, not financial advice, but that's exactly what I will plan to do. I will plan to take advantage of that opportunity in whatever form it presents itself. We're also tweeting here, again, at Altcoin Buzz IO. Literally nothing has changed with the fundamentals of Bitcoin. And therefore, if you were bullish at $9,000, it stands to reason that you should be even more excited at 8K. If we dip down to 7K, the same argument stands. If we dip down to 5, 4, 3K, who cares? Insert the number into the blank here. The fundamentals have not changed. Nothing in terms of the underlying technology is inferior to what it has been previously and historically. So if you were bullish previously, you should be excited today. That is our argument. Never financial advice, of course, but just a perspective in perhaps these difficult times that you should remind yourself of. Forbes is discussing Bitcoin and perhaps, to be honest and candid, its failure as a safe haven asset with this article. Is Bitcoin really a safe haven asset? Arguably, it's failed in that regard recently, not to the extent that other safe haven assets and other markets have, but I think the question is still fair. Let's explore further. So recently, Bitcoin suffered some major losses, falling close to 20% in a matter of days, really since a couple weeks ago. That's probably the figure that it's dipped all in all. Stocks have also had a hard time, of course, with major indices experiencing significant declines. The Dow Jones, a benchmark index containing the stocks of 30 large companies, fell more than 2,000 points yesterday on Monday, its largest drop in history, and that's according to BBC. Oil, which we talked about yesterday, a risk-on asset, has also had a rough day. This is referring to Monday, yesterday, the 9th of March, with U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude plunging more than 25%, and that's according to reporting by CNBC. Go back to yesterday's video if you're not quite up to speed on this. A lot of this was sparked not only by fears of coronavirus, but probably more significantly and more germane to the topic here, it was sparked by a production war, an oil production war between Russia and Saudi Arabia that seemed to be, for reasons of their own, vying for dominance in this space. However, it is fair to say that, hold on, wait a minute, I thought Bitcoin was always supposed to be protection. It was always supposed to be a safe haven in this world of stocks and bonds and barrels of oil Oil. You guys told me that Bitcoin was always supposed to be the libertarians' form of safe and secure and solid currency. Well, that's a fair point. Amid these conditions, some Bitcoin enthusiasts have started voicing doubts about whether the digital currency does indeed provide investors with safety during times of macroeconomic turmoil. Because as we've seen, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, of course, but led by Bitcoin, we've also seen some major downward spirals that have mirrored the price retracements of other more traditional assets. So in an effort to explain the recent correlation between Bitcoin and risk on assets, some market observers pointed to a liquidity crunch, emphasizing that a lack of liquidity in stocks might cause similar problems in digital currencies, helping fuel losses in both asset classes. Denis Vinokurov, head of research for London-based digital asset firm Bitquant, spoke on the matter. He was quoted as saying the following: "A liquidity event in equities will likely translate into worsening liquidity conditions in crypto because market participants will be forced to adjust their portfolios and deal with margin calls. Alternative assets are unlikely to be prioritized," he stated. And the same goes for commodities such as oil and such as gold. Vinokurov stated that the current, quote, broader market and liquidity event was the main cause of Bitcoin's recent declines. Michael Kahn, however, is the founder and managing partner of financial services firm Quail Creek Ventures, and he was quoted as saying that he still sees Bitcoin as a safe haven asset when the fundamentals come back into the market. Meanwhile, Joe DiPasquale, CEO of cryptocurrency hedge fund manager BitBull Capital, agreed, saying that, quote, Bitcoin is positioned very well to be a safe haven asset. He's added that crypto's correlations are very dynamic as of now, shifting from equities to gold depending on the prevalent situation. At the end of the day, it boils down here to a matter of opinion. You have different CEOs of certain funds or certain companies that are pro and others that are very much against, and they all have their own point of views depending on where they are aligned, more in alignment with traditional equities and commodities or more perhaps in line with some of the new ones. This individual author here does disclose that he owns some Bitcoin, some Bitcoin Cash, some Litecoin, and some EOS. So I think kind of nothing is really being said here. It's a bit of a fluffy article, to be honest, and some people are for the idea of Bitcoin as a safe haven assets, some people are against. I think it could be argued that this is really a second generation test of Bitcoin. I think, one of the main sort of issues with Bitcoin, historically speaking, was the insecurity that early adopters unfortunately had to deal with in the form of major high profile hacks. I am talking about Mt. Gox, but there was never really something that thrust it into the spotlight globally in terms of world events or circumstances. And maybe coronavirus is really Bitcoin's coming of age test. You combine that with other market factors, as we've been discussing, such as this petroleum war between Russia and Saudi Arabia that's affecting the way OPEC does business. You combine that, and I think it has a multiplicative effect beyond just sort of the 1-2 individual variables. So beyond just the oil issue, beyond just the coronavirus issue, you combine them together and they kind of multiply each other in terms of their impact. So let me know about your thoughts about this in the comments below. Do you view Bitcoin as a safe haven asset? Do you kind of agree with me that this whole chapter that we're going through now really will be a stress test for Bitcoin, like a trial by fire, so to speak, to see what happens? And if indeed the world economies, continue to suffer, if unfortunately we do head more towards a recession kind of scenario, do you feel that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in a larger sense could shine brightly under these conditions and perhaps prove themselves during trying times to be more efficient than some of the traditional systems, than some of the traditional mechanisms that are showing a lot of strain at the moment? Here's a fun little piece for the sake of some levity. This is one of the first videos that was produced by Altcoin Buzz nearly 3 years ago. You can see the date here, September 10th, 2017. It's always fun sometimes to go back and just for the sake of nostalgia, take a look at what some major players, inside and outside of cryptocurrency had to say about Bitcoin, their price projections. Of course, here you have Bill Gates, you have other individuals like Tim Draper weighing in. We had people like Roger Ver right around the time that Bitcoin Cash was becoming a thing. Max Kaiser on Russia Today, who's on screen currently. If you'd like to go back and check this out, again, just a reminder that we are in it for the long term price horizon, the long-term perspective, years down the road from now, is personally why I got into this game. So I've yet to cash, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before on the air, but I've yet to cash out any of my cryptocurrency earnings since my time getting into the space in early 2017, just because it's not something that I use as far as a day-to-day source of income or funding for anything in my life. For me, it's a 5-year time horizon at a minimum, and I'm kind of uncomfortably low with that number. I look more at about perhaps the 10-year timeline, ideally. So just my kind of personal philosophy. Everybody's got their own, and again, I said it a few times now, none of this is financial advice, but that's kind of how we see things, and that's why I'm discussing this video below, because I understand that times may be stressful, but to zoom out a little bit and take a more macro perspective, think about where we were just over a year ago when Bitcoin was $4,000. Everything is relative. Everything comes and everything goes as well. Things move along and things will improve, and we will survive no matter what happens. So there you have it. A bit of a long rant, but let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. Tweeting here is CoinMarketCap. This week, we're wondering if you think the crypto market is catching up with the traditional market. What is your take? Let us know your thoughts about that as well. And somewhat related to our earlier article that we saw in Forbes here on decrypt.co, Bitcoin can still be a safe haven, experts say. Check this out. We'll link to it in the description below. Well, that about wraps it up for today, everybody. Do be sure you're following us on all the regular social media channels and keep checking back into altcoinbuzz.io for all the latest. Go ahead, like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell to receive notifications if you've enjoyed today's video. Don't forget, we are giving away a CryptoTag Zeus starter kit on Saturday. We do that every week. To be eligible for that prize, you got to make sure you are subscribed to Altcoin Buzz on YouTube. You got to like our videos and you got to comment our videos. Best of luck if you choose to enter that competition. Best of luck if you choose to invest today on this Tuesday, but hope your spirits are okay. Chin up, everybody, and again, don't be too down when looking at the numbers. Best of luck if you do choose to invest, and as always, we do hope to see you soon, and again, in our next video. Take care.